Okay.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Cynthia Clark, relationship expert and palm reading consultant, and you are joining us on Healthy Love. And I am super excited today because we have a very special guest. Her name is Annalisa O'Toole, and she is a professional life and relationship coach. And she also is an emotional healing therapist. And she's coming all the way from Georgia. Woohoo! So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. I'm privileged and honored that you called and requested our interview. I'm looking forward to learning from you as well.
All right. Well, thank you. So let's learn a little bit about who you are, Annalisa. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Okay, great. Well, in all of my life, I was one of those people who did a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I was creative and fun and everything was great and rainbows and butterflies. And then you reach about, I don't know, 30 something and you realize I still don't know quite my niche or what I want to be when I grow up. So I was in the bookstore with my daughter in 2006. She had a project for school, and like any bookstore, you will find me with my coffee and a tent in the self-help section. So there I was, and this book stood out to me, and it was a book called Discover Your Calling. And what I learned from that work was taking an inventory of all the things I loved, all of my skills that I had, all of my interests, my personality type, spiritual gifts, and you put them all together in this unique way. And it doesn't say, oh my gosh, you're going to be a great real estate agent, or you would make a great salesperson. It helps you and guides you from that inventory that you take, and also the games you played when you were a child. And as I always say, short story long, I discovered that I was already helping people and people were already comfortable in all of the things that I did. There were about 3 to 5 common denominators. People felt warm and open with me. People felt like even after a few minutes of meeting me, I was a great friend that they could open up to. I would be in Walmart in the line and people would start talking to me and start crying with emotion, say, I don't even know why I'm sharing this with you. I don't even know you, but it just feels like I'm supposed to tell you these things. So anyway, doing all of that work, I discovered that life coaching was perfect. And I had a passion for that. So that began my going back to school. And I originally got a BA in Christian counseling, which led me then to realize I wanted to broaden my audience. And so I received a certification in professional life coaching, which then led me to really understand that our emotional health, it plays such a vital role in relationships, career, feeling good, feeling bad. So I pursued an emotional healing certification because it intrigued me. And I tell you, most of the counselors in the world are really still trying to overcome their own pain, and many haven't resolved that in the right way. And the first question, the PhD teaching my class said, before you will be a great therapist or a great life coach or a great counselor, you've got to resolve your own hurts and overcome your past pain, and you've got to heal. And I'm going to teach you how to help clients with that. So the emotional healing just went hand in hand with life coaching. And I have had a great successful career and started Inspired Life Coaching in 2007. So,
wow, that's quite a long time.
It is.
So if you don't mind me asking, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but did you have any kind of emotional pain that you had to go through in order to get where you are?
Not pain per se to get where I am in business. I think my emotional pain was early in childhood and through my adolescence, and then as a young adult, and then as a new mom. Um, I've experienced painful trauma. You know, everybody has trauma, but everybody has a different set.
Mm-hmm.
And I call it having a different set of dysfunction in
Okay.
either their family or in their personal life. And so what was unique for me is as I was taking the class, I was doing something we all do. And that's we put ourselves in our minds, we put ourselves in that situation that we're learning about or listening to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did that happen to me? Oh, I wonder how that would make me feel, right? So as the professor's
Mm-hmm.
talking about that emotion and how to help clients, I was actually, and I told him this, coming through and working through it for myself. And so I remember it being an emotional time. But once I got through the class, received the certification, and had spent years helping others, I mean, I recovered from that emotional pain of my past, and it really allowed me and leveraged me to help others more effectively, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. Yeah, I think all coaches need to continuously work on themselves to be more
Right,
effective, and really also just to put themselves in a better perspective.
right.
I think that's really important. So,
And I really believe, and you might have found this to be true as well. In the last few years, there have been more and more different, they're all a little bit alike, but some different techniques for emotional healing. And there is some incredible resources. I'm actually launching a book later this year, my first book I'm so excited about.
yeah.
And it's going to help people tremendously, but it's not because my book is filled with all the answers for the exact way, but I'm
Mhm.
filling it with other resources. It's just like a diet. Your friend might say, "Oh my gosh, this is a great diet." And the other person will say, "Well, that just didn't work for me." So I
Right.
think emotional healing can be that way. We shouldn't give up because maybe the path toward healing didn't work in one way, but another technique might be just the the thing that helps you overcome that past pain or your current emotional state that may not be helping you. You might be feeling blocks.
So do you use multiple techniques depending on the client, or how does it work for you?
I use one particular technique called the SRTT therapy, and it was developed by PhD and behavior expert Patrick Wanis. He's a celebrity life coach, and he is amazing. And I learned the SRTT therapy through him. I use that primarily. I recently read a book, and this particular technique goes hand in hand with what I do. And the book is called The Emotion Code, and I highly
Yeah,
recommend it
I've read
for,
that. Yes,
isn't it wonderful?
it is a fantastic book. I've been using that technique for several years, actually.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, the author's from Utah, and I'm also from Utah.
Oh,
So, um,
that's great to learn. I didn't
yeah,
know that.
but I live in Colorado now, so it's not too far away, but I still go back to Utah quite often.
Right.
But yeah, so it's good for people to know that there's all these wonderful techniques, and they don't have to hold on to that emotional pain, and that they don't have to be stuck in that emotional energy forever. A
Right.
lot of times we think we're just like, okay, that's our lot in life, and this is just the way I am. It
Or
doesn't have to be that way.
that's right. I have found, and you may have too, clients feel when they come that their emotional problems are related to a circumstance outside their self that is happening right then, or
Hmm.
possibly something from their past, but they're keeping it present and alive because they're focused on that. But truly, our emotional trauma is usually rooted in a belief system or a set of beliefs or one belief that we're still operating by subconsciously. So
Absolutely.
that's what happens. So I help clients realize, it's not these circumstances right now. They feel as though they're causing this, but let's find the root. Let's find why are you operating in resistance, or why are you operating in guilt or shame or feelings of very heavy discouragement. And as you know, once you discover the root, then you can reshift those beliefs and help a client to become aware of a new perspective and a new way to approach challenges in life.
Right. So we don't have to be victims of our past.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I love, is that we can, with the help of a coach like you or me, we can be more empowered to move forward into the feelings and emotions that we actually want to experience every day. You know, and it's like our natural state is to be joyful, wouldn't you say? Like,
Exactly.
I mean, we're not supposed to be here suffering and miserable. I mean, that is not the point of our lives. The point is to overcome those challenges and move back into joy.
And another great point along with that, that is so true, is that you can do the work within yourself and approach this healing within. Oftentimes clients have the misleading belief that if I help their partner change, or I help them try to approach that outside circumstance in a different way, oh my goodness, it's all going to be better. Sometimes we can't change those factors outside of ourselves or those other people in our lives, but what we can do is change how we approach that, how we look at that, how we respond to that. And so the work is really within, and it's individual work.
Yeah. And I want to speak a little bit about that, because I have a great story that goes with that. So, and I often will use myself as an example, because I went through some major like stress in my life. I got divorced after 19 years of marriage. I got vertigo for 9 months.
Oh,
I got
wow.
into a fatal attraction relationship that was totally toxic. And at the time I thought, oh, this is the one. I'm so in love and I want to be with this person. And I kept thinking, I can fix him. That was like, because he had all these little issues and I knew they were difficult. But as a healer, therapist, coach type person, I'm like, oh no, I can fix this person.
Yeah.
And that's like the worst thing to think, because it's like, you know what? You just went through a divorce. You're totally traumatized.
Right.
And it's like, you need to work on yourself. And
Mhm.
so that's what I did, is I started working on myself, and I did the techniques that I knew. And it took a couple of years, but I ended up, that relationship just completely like split second ended. It was
Wow.
amazing how the universe was aligning it and setting it all up. And at the time I was like, oh my gosh, like all this work, and I'm just like, my relationship is over.
Right.
And what it did was it opened the doorway for my husband, who I'm with now.
That's
And
awesome.
I look back on all of that pain and stress, and it's like, you know what? That was the best thing that could have happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you never, when you have a challenge, you never lose through the challenge. People want to focus on, but this happened. But wait, you're here now.
Mm-hmm.
You would not be where you are today without the wisdom nuggets that you received having gone through that. Some people say, oh my gosh, like for example, I lost my firstborn child, and like you, I was married for 17 years, which that marriage dissolved. And like you, I must have been a loser magnet. I mean, whew.
Yeah.
And it took me a minute to gain the ability to do two things. And this is a lot of what emotional healing is about. One, getting rid of the lie that you can change another person. It's a lie that we believe for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And second, the ability to come through that personal growth like you did, where you are able to set very healthy boundaries, and you know in a short time if somebody is supposed to be in your space and in your life for a moment, a season, or a lifetime. And very few are really chosen for a lifetime. But when you get strong and come through a really strong personal growth journey like you have and I have,
Yeah.
possibly go through that emotional healing, you are just a stronger person. And I like to draw sometimes a little stick figure, and there's two. There's the person holding all the balloons and then choosing which ones, no, this is not aligned with where I'm going. This one's not for me. Then there's the person, the balloons are so many balloons, like in the movie Up, that they're being lifted off the ground, so they're losing their grounding because
Mhm.
they're taking everything that looks wonderful and deciding I'm going to control all these things, but they're getting carried away, literally, by
Yeah.
all these things because they have not found through a personal growth journey, whether it's life coaching, emotional healing, overcoming trauma, they haven't found that right grounding. And it's the root to what I believe gives you a positive, flowing life with tranquility and peace versus a life of stress and drama and past pain that keeps reoccurring over and over.
Yeah, that's so well said. You know, it's just so important for people to just take a look, just stop what you're doing for a minute and just look at who's in your life right now. What is
Right.
that person really doing in your life right now? And this is where relationships are so key. I mean, I think we learn from every single relationship out there.
We really
And
do.
it's like, is it healthy? Yeah. Am I getting the balloon that I want to take? Or is it the balloon that's like, oh man, this is a heavy balloon?
And some balloons look so great.
I know they're beautiful,
They
right?
have bling and they have little things on them that make music
Very
and
tempting.
the ribbon and everything else. And then it's very, very hard. But the stronger you are in who you are and what you want in life, the stronger I believe a person can discern and know that something's aligned with their path and something's not. And another thing to learn in emotional healing, when you're emotionally healthy, you feel okay with and not guilty with letting certain people go. It's not rude. It's not unkind. It's just that you're setting those boundaries and deciding who you let in your close circle. I heard one time from a motivational speaker and I think an author, he said, we are all the average of the 5 people that we talk to the most. So if you take the
That's
5 people,
profound.
right, you can put a little plus sign or a negative sign based on the energy that you feel when you're with that person and really take an evaluation because are you being an emotional vampire or are other people being an emotional vampire to you? You have to protect your energy and protect the path that you're going. And you can be loving and kind to everyone, but there is a season in life when you're really working on your personal growth journey and you're working to be the strongest person inside, especially if a person chooses to go through emotional healing. You've got to evaluate those outside circumstances, the outside interests, and especially the outside influencers that you have.
Yes, I totally agree with that. You know, when I got married, I lost a bunch of friends. It was so interesting how they just dropped out. And then I really took a quick look at like, hey, maybe they really weren't there in the best interest of my growth.
Right.
You know, they were more feeding my fears and my stress and my, that whole fatal attraction period. So I blessed them and I let them go. And I just said, you know what, I'll make new friends,
Yeah,
and what kind of new friend do I really want to have? Well, I want to have meaningful, healthy relationships with everybody around me. And that's why I'm doing this podcast too. I want people to have that in all aspects of their lives.
right.
And yeah, I realize that there's some people that like if you're working or whatever, and you have a boss you have to deal with or whatever, who is maybe not your friend, but you can still have a healthy relationship with them.
That's right.
And, and if you can't, then maybe you need to get another job, so that's another thing to look at. So, but yeah, that's very well said. It's so good to look at who is in your life and what are the roles that they're playing and what roles are you playing for them?
Mhm.
Because sometimes you're the one teaching them a lesson.
Right. I had an interesting client about 3 weeks ago. She came in, she was a wreck. She had troubled and ending and failed relationships for the last 10 years. She's a beautiful young girl in her mid 30s. She had a tragic incident where her very first husband and love, it was her high school sweetheart, he had committed suicide, and she was just distraught. So it was a lot of trauma. But she asked me, what would be, if you could only give me one piece of advice going forward? Obviously, I'm going to come to you more, but what is the key to a great relationship? Why are relationships so hard? And what would be your strongest advice? I know you have a lot, and she's been coming every week for 6 weeks. You should see her now. She is thriving. I mean, new job, new house, moved out from her family, overcoming the fears. But that one piece of advice I gave her, I think made a big difference. And it was this. I said to her, do not emotionally connect with someone until I know there's this attraction. We all do what we did when we were teenagers. We go with that infatuation and that chemistry that's there. And we think because of the chemistry, it's all going to work out and it's going to be rainbows and butterflies. And really and truly, I believe that each person needs to meet someone new and approach that not as a future possible soulmate, not as a future relationship even, but that's a new friend. And just like with any friendship, you're evaluating slowly their value system, their priorities, what they put first in their life. Are they a healthy person? Are they financially stable? Are they socially mature? Are they thoughtful? All the things. I believe everyone should have a list. So if you're not emotionally connecting, you have an easier time of gauging how closely you want to interact, how much time you need to talk. And if someone is disrespectful about your boundaries at the beginning of a relationship, maybe they're looking for Miss Right now instead of Mrs. Right, and you determine this, that's not someone who would probably respect you later. If there's a respectfulness for your boundaries in the beginning, while you're keeping a little distance and in an evaluation period, you're probably going to have a strong respect level later on. And so the biggest mistake I think that we make in relationships is connecting too quickly and too fast and making assumptions. And again, guess what that leads to? The belief that, oh, that little red flag, oh, that'll be okay. Well, I'll help him work on that. Or the guy might say, oh, I'm sure she had daddy issues. Well, I'll help her with that, is what a guy would say.
Right.
Well, not good. Not a good recipe for, right.
No, it sets you up for a lot of heartache. So yeah, that's really great advice. So yeah, people need to slow down.
Right. That's the biggest mistake I see. They fall in because of this great, they have fun together. The person gets them, they laugh together, but real signs of a deeper character is spending time. And that can't be in one day or 2 weeks or even 2 months. It takes time to develop your discernment and understand. And I always teach clients to have a list, your must-have list, your red flag.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I'm a strong proponent of setting intentions as well.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
it's good.
In business, they gauge their performance. If you have a business and you're on Google, it'll give you the analysis of your performance. We take our cars in. We want to make sure there's no recall. We want to make sure the oil is changed. So why wouldn't we do that with relationships? People just take for granted that because they love them and they have fun together and there's that chemistry and possibly the whole butterfly feeling that it's all going to work out. And
right.
More evaluation is needed if you want a happy flowing relationship. You want to make sure not just evaluating them, but a person needs to know who they are and where they're going. How will you know if that person is right for you if you haven't discovered your calling or you haven't overcome that post-traumatic stress syndrome, or you haven't established a real purpose and know, one of the questions I asked after my divorce when I was dating is I would ask my date, so where do you see yourself in 5 years? Oh, the answers I could tell you. We could be on a comedy podcast with that.
Yeah, we could. That sounds like you'd get a lot of fun answers there. So, yeah, that sounds perfect. I mean, all fantastic advice. Thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom with us.
Thank you. I would love
And
to talk more in the future with you.
so tell us, how can people get a hold of you or reach you if they want to book a session or get coaching from you? How do they do
Oh,
that?
great. I have a website and it's askannalisa.com. So easy. The word ask and then Annalisa is spelled Annalisa, all together, all lowercase. And on that website, they can find my phone number. There's also audios and ebooks that they can purchase for digital download. And I will soon be starting a YouTube channel with quick 2 to 3 minute tips and advice and life coaching issues. And I would love to hear from anybody who's interested and go from there. AskAnnalisa.com is the
Okay,
website.
perfect.
So thank you so
Okay.
much.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you, Annalisa. That's just wonderful. So thank you for joining us today, everybody. And we look forward to having you join us in another podcast. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends and also subscribe to our channel. And if you want to see us answer any questions in a future episode, please do not hesitate to reach out and let us know what you want to hear about. Okay, so thank you so much and have a great day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.